Rocky and Creed franchises are cinematic landmarks, telling tales of perseverance, resilience, and triumph through the lens of one of the most primal sports, boxing. Starting with Rocky in 1976, Sylvester Stallone introduced the world to an underdog story that captured hearts and inspired generations. Over time, the franchise expanded, shifting from Rocky Balboa's personal journey to a broader saga centered around legacy, redemption, and mentorship through the rise of Adonis Creed, the son of Rocky's greatest rival and friend, Apollo Creed. Across these films, one constant remains: the larger-than-life opponents Rocky and Adonis face in the ring. These foes represent more than just adversaries. They embody challenges that test not only physical strength, but also the inner mettle of our heroes. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the most iconic opponents of the Rocky and Creed series. These fighters have left their mark on the franchise, whether through their fearsome presence, technical prowess, or dramatic impact on the overarching story. From street brawlers to world champions, these characters are as diverse as the battles they fought. Today, we rank them from weakest to strongest, examining their skills, accomplishments, and the roles they played in shaping this epic saga. At the bottom of the list at number 12 is Spider Rico. Spider Rico, introduced in the opening scene of the original Rocky, Spider Rico holds the distinction of being Rocky Balboa's first opponent in the series. A journeyman boxer, Spider represents the gritty, no-frills world of small-time fighting. The match is held in a dingy local gym, setting the stage for Rocky's underdog tale. Spider is tough and willing to fight dirty, but his skill level is limited, and Rocky defeats him handily. While Spider's inclusion in the franchise is symbolic, his abilities pale in comparison to the other fighters on this list. He lacks the power, technique, or legacy to rank higher, earning him the bottom spot. Next up, at number 11, is Leo Spirino. Leo Spirino, introduced in Creed, is a young and technically skilled prospect. As Adonis Creed's first professional opponent, Spirino serves as a stepping stone in Adonis's transition from underground fighting to the big leagues. While Leo demonstrates solid fundamentals and the confidence of a rising star, his inexperience against top-tier competition is evident. Adonis defeats him decisively, showcasing his superior athleticism and adaptability. Though Leo is far from the weakest fighter in the franchise, his limited role and inability to pose a real threat to Adonis place him near the bottom of the rankings. Coming in at number 10 is Danny Wheeler, who is a former world champion introduced in Creed. Known for his confidence and technical prowess, Wheeler serves as both a rival and a motivator for Adonis. Their most notable encounter occurs in a sparring session, where Wheeler defeats Adonis and takes his car as part of a wager. While Wheeler clearly possesses skill and experience, his role in the films is relatively minor, and he never faces Adonis in an official match. Wheeler's reputation as a strong fighter is unquestionable, but his lack of notable victories against elite opponents limits his standing, placing him in the 10th spot. In 9th place is Felix Chavez, the reigning heavyweight champion in Creed 3. Chavez is a skilled and disciplined fighter. Representing the top of the professional boxing world, Chavez is a technical and strategic boxer with impressive accomplishments. However, his fight against Damen Anderson exposes his weaknesses. Damen uses dirty tactics and psychological warfare to unsettle Chavez, ultimately defeating him to claim the championship. While Chavez deserves credit for his talent and composure, his inability to adapt to Damen's unorthodox style and his eventual defeat highlight his limitations. Still, he earns some slack for Damen's underhanded methods, but even without them, Damen likely edges him out, cementing Chavez in the 9th spot. Next up is Mason Dixon at number 8. Mason "The Line" Dixon, the reigning heavyweight champion in Rocky Balboa, represents the modern era of boxing. Dixon is a highly skilled and conditioned athlete, but his career is marred by criticism for facing unchallenging opponents. When he agrees to an exhibition match against the aging Rocky Balboa, he expects an easy fight but finds himself in a grueling 10-round battle. Dixon ultimately wins by decision, legitimizing his title reign, and he goes on to retire with an impressive record, including 10 additional knockouts. However, Dixon's struggle to defeat a past his prime Rocky suggests that he would likely falter against many of the opponents Rocky faced in his prime, placing him in the 8th spot. Coming in at number 7 is Tommy Gunn, introduced in Rocky V as a powerhouse fighter with explosive potential. Trained by Rocky, Tommy represents the old-school brawler archetype. With a rugged build and overwhelming power, Tommy bulldozed his way through opponents, relying on raw strength and aggression. He quickly rises through the ranks, showcasing devastating power and solid fundamentals. However, his betrayal of Rocky and alignment with a corrupt promoter lead to a dramatic street fight, where Rocky ultimately defeats him. At his peak, Tommy would likely defeat the prior opponents on this list due to his raw talent and training under Rocky's guidance. However, his lack of mental toughness and inability to handle pressure when facing more skilled opponents like Rocky prevent him from competing with the franchise's elite fighters, placing him at number 7. At number 6 is Damen Anderson, the central antagonist of Creed III. Damen is introduced as a former prodigy whose life is derailed by a stint in prison. Fueled by bitterness and a desire for revenge, Damen blends street-hardened toughness with technical skill. His victory over Felix Chavez highlights his adaptability and ferocity, but his reliance on dirty tactics raises questions about his true potential. When he faces Adonis, Damen proves to be a formidable challenge, but ultimately succumbs to Adonis's superior strategy and experience. Damen's story is one of untapped potential, making him a dangerous but not quite top-tier fighter. At number 5 is Ricky Conlan, the primary antagonist of the first Creed film. Ricky Pretty Conlan is the undefeated light heavyweight champion introduced in Creed. Known for his technical precision and knockout power, Conlan enters his fight with Adonis Creed as the heavy favorite. It's revealed that not only has Conlan never lost a fight, but he's also never been knocked down until his final round clash with Adonis. Conlan manages to recover and wins the fight by split decision, retaining his title. The close nature of the match mirrors Rocky's loss to Apollo Creed in the first Rocky film, underscoring Conlan's elite status. His victory over Adonis and his impeccable record secure him a spot in the upper half of this list. Coming in at number 4 is Clubber Lang, the fearsome antagonist of Rocky III. Clubber Lang stands as one of the most iconic opponents in the Rocky and Creed franchises, perfectly embodying everything you would want in a classic Rocky antagonist. From his bulky, muscular physique to his angry, ferocious personality, Clubber is a larger-than-life figure whose presence commands attention. His animalistic aggression in the ring is unmatched, and his punches carry devastating knockout power that can end a fight in an instant. Clubber's unrelenting style and raw power make him a fearsome force, and the fact that he is the only fighter to ever defeat Rocky Balboa by knockout speaks volumes about his abilities as a fighter. His brash confidence, coupled with his unparalleled physical dominance, ensures that he remains a memorable and formidable figure in the franchise's storied history. Now we come to the top 3 fighters in the Rocky and Creed films, but before we dive into the next 3 rankings, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. From rankings of iconic movie characters to who would win character battles, we've got plenty more content coming soon. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss a single upload. And now, let's get back to the countdown. Coming in at number 3 is Victor Drago, the towering and relentless son of Ivan Drago, who infamously killed Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed's father, during an exhibition match in Rocky IV. Victor carries the weight of his father's legacy, blending Ivan's raw power and imposing physicality with a fiercer, more emotional fighting style. Introduced in Creed II, Victor is a devastating force in the ring, brutalizing Adonis in their first bout and displaying the same dangerous dominance his father was known for. While Victor ultimately loses in their rematch due to Adonis's superior strategy and resilience, his sheer size, strength, and unrelenting aggression make him one of the franchise's most formidable opponents. The father-son dynamic and ties to the storyline of Rocky IV adds layers of tension to his story, cementing Victor as a powerhouse fighter and an iconic opponent in the Creed franchise. At number 2 is Ivan Drago, one of the most formidable and memorable opponents in any of the Rocky or Creed films. Ivan Drago, the towering Soviet fighter from Rocky IV, is a near-mythical opponent. With an almost superhuman physique and devastating punching power, Drago is a seemingly unstoppable force. His tragic knockout of Apollo Creed remains one of the franchise's most tragic and emotional moments. Drago is presented as the pinnacle of Soviet sports science, a man conditioned for perfection through rigorous training and cutting-edge technology. Standing at 6 feet 5 inches and weighing 261 pounds, Drago towers over most of his opponents, using his size and reach to devastating effect. His punching power is legendary, measured in the film at 2,150 pounds per square inch, enough to shatter bones, and his stoic demeanor makes him appear nearly invincible in the ring. However, his fight with Rocky reveals his vulnerability. When pushed to the brink, Drago falters against Rocky's relentless determination. Despite his defeat, Drago's sheer physicality and presence solidify his place as the second strongest fighter on this list. And finally, at the top of the rankings in the number 1 spot is Apollo Creed, the charismatic and supremely skilled heavyweight champion from the first 2 Rocky films. Although Apollo Creed tragically lost to Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, it's important to remember that Apollo was far from his prime during that fight. Retired and out of practice, Apollo entered the ring more driven by pride and showmanship than by readiness to face a fighter of Drago's caliber. It's easy to imagine a scenario where a peak condition Apollo, with his unmatched speed, skill, and ring IQ, could have outmaneuvered and outclassed the Russian juggernaut. In his prime, Apollo had the tools to take on any opponent, including Drago, which only adds to his legacy as the greatest opponent in the franchise. Apollo is the total package: speed, power, intelligence, and showmanship. His 2 battles with Rocky highlight his adaptability and resilience, with their rematch in Rocky II being one of the most intense and closely contested fights in the franchise. Rocky's victory over Apollo in Rocky II was as close and hard-fought as a boxing match could get. Both fighters pushed each other to their absolute limits, with the climax seeing both men knocked to the canvas simultaneously. In the end, it was Rocky who barely managed to rise to his feet before the referee's count, securing a victory by the narrowest of margins. This razor-thin outcome underscores how evenly matched the 2 champions were, further cementing Apollo's legacy as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Even in defeat, Apollo's legacy remains untarnished. In the first Creed film, Rocky Balboa himself repeatedly expresses the opinion that Apollo Creed was the best boxer, essentially stating that while he may have had the heart, Apollo had the superior skill and technique, making him the better fighter overall and arguably best fighter he ever faced. Apollo's combination of skill, heart, and championship pedigree makes him the undisputed number 1 on this list. The Rocky and Creed franchises have left an indelible mark on cinematic history, and much of their enduring appeal lies in the iconic opponents who step into the ring with Rocky Balboa and Adonis Creed. These fighters are more than adversaries. They are fully realized characters, each representing unique challenges, personal stakes, and unforgettable moments. From Clubber Lang's animalistic aggression to Ivan Drago's cold, unstoppable power, and Apollo Creed's unrivaled skill and charisma, these opponents are a cornerstone of what makes the series so compelling. Their larger-than-life personas and intense battles elevate the films beyond mere sports dramas, turning them into epic tales of heart, resilience, and redemption. These iconic rivals ensure that the Rocky and Creed sagas will remain beloved and unforgettable for generations to come.